Hello everyone, my name is Wade Acuff. I'm an artist, animator, and illustrator, and this is your Photoshop challenge. To get the source file, make sure you check in the description below. It'll have everything you need, even though today's file, again, doesn't have much in it. We're going to open this ourselves. Let's see where we got here, 3D type. And you'll see there's just a command, just a prompt for this in the source file. I'm going to go ahead and just hide our greeting. So we're going to need to make some 3D type today. This is going to be easy 3D type. And it's pretty fun. It's all done with layers and a couple of little filters. Let's just jump right into it. How about that? I'm going to press T on the type tool so that we can pull up our, let's see, oh no, I did a little thing. I don't want the, accidentally made a selection. Let's see, so let's go back in here, and yes, ooh, that's really dim, so we're going to go into the character panel and change our color to an orange. And yes, we have Coolio. This is probably something I say too much in a professional setting. I'm not sure why or where it comes from, but you know, Coolio. Trying to find an orange I like. I kind of want a little bit brighter. Alright, that's where we're going to start with. I'm just going to move this over to the middle a little bit. And then it's pretty bland right now. We don't want just this, so I'm going to add a shape in the background, but I'm going to add a new layer by pressing this plus in the layers panel. Double click to rename this as Coolio background, Coolio BG. And then I'm going to select the marquee tool over here. You can press M on your keyboard as well. And I'm just going to make a little bit of a box basically around this. And then with that selected and the layer selected, I'm going to press Shift F5 to get to our color. I do want to select a color. I want to be a bluish, kind of darker blue. Let's see. But then I want to drag it below our Coolio, and you can just do that by clicking and dragging to pull it down below the type layer. It's still kind of bland, so let's work on it. I'm going to deselect Control or Command D, and I'm going to press our type tool again, and I'm going to make a bunch of oohs all over the place. That's kind of weird. But I'm going to place it right at the top here. Let's see if this is going to work. Yeah, I like this, but I'm actually going to shrink our little plaque. Oops. Pressing Control or Command T will bring up the transform. And if you hold down Alt or Option, you can pull it in slightly. And I'm going to do that. Press Enter. Go back to our O type layer, bring this down, and I'm going to use this type to make a selection for us. If you hold down Control or Command and press hover over your type, you'll see a little marquee tool. It's a selection tool or selection indicator. So I'm selecting that, hiding that layer. And you could add a mask to this, a layer mask, just by clicking on the mask. And then I would want the invert of this. I don't want this. So if you want to invert that, you can hit Control or Command I, and it will invert it for you. But this would be the non-destructive way. I'm feeling a little destructive today, so let's not do it that way. Let's just do it by deleting. And then we have our little Coolio brand. I'm thinking maybe this is some sort of hydration solution. Possibly. I don't know. You guys are free to make up your own, bring your own logos in, do whatever to kind of make this fun for you. I'm going to pull up our ooh layer because I think we're done with that. But it's still flat. There's nothing 3D about this, and I think that's what this whole challenge is about. So let's try and add a little bit of 3D to it, at least in the perspective field. So before we jump the gun and do that, I do want to make this a smart object because you won't be able to transform it unless you do. And then I'm going to select both layers. You can hold Control, press Control or Command to select both. And then come over to Edit, Transform Perspective Tool. So the perspective tool is kind of not tricky, but you want to play around with it. I recommend messing around with it. If you grab the corners, it will pull them to you or away from you. If you pull down or up, if you pull left or right, it will do the same thing, but with on the opposite direction. If you grab the sides, it will kind of do this sort of thing, like a skew. What I want to do is kind of lay this back like it's kind of resting. So I'm going to pull out this corner, and let's see, pull this up a little bit. Let's see, maybe pull this, let's see. Pull this back like this, just give it a little bit of lean. Maybe a little bit more lean, I don't know. I don't want this too far. Okay, this'll do. This'll work for us. Maybe pull this down a little bit more. That's okay. All right, so we're starting to kind of see that we have like at least something in perspective. And I'm gonna pause right there just to say hi to chat. What's up, everybody? How's it going? If you want to join the Discord where everybody is just crushing these challenges, please go over to or click the link in chat perhaps to bit.ly/ps Discord. And maybe if we have time, I'll show some of what people are doing over on the Discord. It's really cool seeing all the challenges get posted. Just looking at chat, seeing everybody. What's up? Oh, hey there. Oh, hey there, Sam. Sam, our badgeless mod today. I don't know what's happening, but we're good. We're good. Let's jump into making some depth, because we kind of left this at a place where there's still no 3D going on. There's still kind of just, we have a shape in perspective with a little, maybe a brand. I don't know. All right, so to do that, I'm going to use a filter that I never thought I'd use for this, but it is kind of a fun little trick. Before we jump into that, make sure you're over here in your background and foreground color, make sure they are default to black on the front and white in the back. I'm going to make a copy of our Coolio background. I'm going to turn this off just so we can see when we affect this. I'm going to call this depth. And then we're going to go to filter, go to our good old filter gallery, and we're going to use Plaster. Now Plaster usually expects little ridges and curves or bumps in your image so that it can make a plaster effect. Since we have one tone and one tone only, it's just going to act as a light. That's the way I'm using it for this. Your image balance and your smoothness is not going to matter here because we don't have anything else going on. But if I move this around, you'll see that it lights from the bottom, it lights from the left. Wherever you put it, that's where it's lighting from. I'm treating this as lighting it from directly in front. So if we were looking, from the viewer's point of view, that's where I'm setting this for. And I'm going to click OK. So now we have this image. It's a little close to our gray, and we'll affect the colors later. But for now, we want to make some actual depth. And we're going to do that by pressing the V for Move tool. And that will let you move it around. We don't want to move it, but we do want to press Control and Alt or Option and Command, and that'll give you this little arrow for copying. But instead of copying, we're going to press down. We're going to hold the Control and Alt or Option and Command, and we're going to press down and to the right at the same time on the keyboard, on your arrows, your arrow keys on your keyboard. And you could do this one by one by making a copy, then nudging one left, nudging one right, nudging one down. But this is a much faster way, and you'll see it start to move or grow. I'm going to make about 31 copies. Oops, I went too far. It's okay. It's just going to be a little thicker. So from there, though, I want to make sure that I'm taking this top copy. I don't know why I made a copy. Making this top copy and calling the top layer shadow, because that's actually the last layer in the row. And if I pull it out, you might be able to see it's way down here. And you might know where this is already heading. I'm going to grab all of these layers all the way, and then I'm going to press Control or Command E to merge all of those. So now we have our depth, we have our top layer, we have our shadow, we have oh yeah, we need to put the shadow on the bottom. So if you drag this below, I'm going to go ahead and rename our depth to just depth and get rid of this copy nonsense. And feel free to put any questions you have in chat. I'll try to get to them. Alright, so in shadow, I'm going to, for the shadow layer, make sure it's selected. If you, again, with Control or Command, select it, it will make the selection for you. Then Shift F5 into our color. I'm going to select a dark blue, a little less saturated dark blue. Click OK. And you can already tell where this is going to go. I'm going to move this layer, and this is going to be our shadow. It's a little harsh, right? Well, of course, we're not leaving it that way. We're going to go to the classic blur, Gaussian blur, and we're going to bump this up quite a bit. So the look I'm going for is a little bit of like an ambient occlusion. We're going to keep things fairly soft as far as the shadows go. So there we sort of have this. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. I'm going to bring this shadow down so it's not so in your face. And then I'm going to select all of this and pretty much done with this background for now. I'll just call this Coolio background. So you can probably see from this that that's how we're going to manipulate the top as well. But what I want to do real quick while we're here, and no, we'll come back and affect colors later. I just want to show all of this first so that we get through this process of making the depth. And I just want to show that this is still editable. Again, I really wish we could put a boundary on this beforehand, but if you want to affect that, hit Shift C to bring up your crop, hold Alt or Option and just select that out. Now I'm going to just, maybe this is Woolio and it's a wool brand, a knitting brand, nothing but the coolest, right? So I'm going to close this out. It's going to ask to save, say yes, and now we have Woolio. Not quite as cool as Coolio, but I just wanted to show that that is editable. And you could, for this next making depth, you could leave them all as I make a copy by holding Alt and bringing this down, and then I'm about to do the duplication process that we just did for the background part. You could leave them all as smart objects and it would always be editable, but for this it would have to save 30 plus copies of smart objects, and that takes a while, so we don't quite have the time for that. So we're not going to keep this editable. I am going to keep the top layer editable, but I am going to go ahead and do our plaster effect. I will go ahead, I guess I can go ahead and rasterize this and it would be fine, because now we're going to go back into filter, back to our filter gallery, and then we have again, the selection should be the same, our light source should be the same. Click OK. We have that going on. And then we're going to do the same thing we did before to create depth. We're going to make a bunch of copies by holding Control and Alt, Option and Command, pressing down and right. Make sure you're on your move tool, down and right at the same time. And we're going to make, I'm just going to make this until I see the O and the C and everything start to overlap. So now we've turned this back on. We already have something that looks 3D. Yeah, that's a bad, Wheelio is a bad name. I get it, clever. That's good. That's clever. But we're going to save this top copy as Shadow, rename it Shadow, and then we're going to merge everything down. Again, Control or Command E. Drag this above. I'm going to call this Coolio Depth. And then again, we're going to select our back layer, Shift F5, and this time I'm going to select an orange that's dark. You're really not going to be able to tell, but I will know, and that's, oh, I did the wrong layer. I meant to do the shadow layer. I had the wrong layer selected for this, but we have it right now, I think. Coolio. Okay, yeah. And then we're going to move this slightly out, just a little bit. Nudge it a little bit, get it into place. Go over to our filter, bring our classic Gaussian blur back. I'm going to take this blur way down, just to where it's something a little less offensive to the eyes. Click OK. And there we go. We've got something that is, it's a good starting point. You know, it's fine, but I do want to affect these edges, these color edges, and the way I want to do that, that's basically our depth. I'm going to add a new layer and make this layer a clipping mask on our depth. Call this color, and then with that selected, Shift F5. And then just select the color you had for the top layer, click OK. That doesn't look great, but if you hop into your blending modes, come on over to Multiply. You can see where this is going. I'm going to do the same thing to Coolio Background, new layer. Oh, and if you hold Alt and Option and slowly move up between the layers, you'll see this icon change to where it's a little downward pointing arrow. That's when you're making a clipping mask. And so then you can do what we just did, Shift F5, select our color, click OK, and if everything works, we can then go to our blend mode and multiply, and we've got something. We've got something, but I still think we can do something better. I think we have it in us to do something better. I'm going to select all of this and put that into a folder and call this Coolio Standard. Then I'm going to make, by holding Alt or Option, a copy of that. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to hide Coolio Standard and let's make Coolio Light. Alright, so you might know where this is going, because the first thing I'm going to do is grab our shadow layer, and there's a lot of ways you can do this. There's not any one way that this can be done. If you press Control L, you know what, I'm going to use Control U to bring up hue and saturation, and I'm just going to bring our light all the way up. Click OK. Now we're kind of backlit. And I'm going to nudge this up a little bit so it looks a little bit more backlit. And so that's a good start as well. I mean, we're not quite there, We can do more. We can do more. I want to come into Coolio and select the letters on Coolio, make a new layer on top of that, call this Coolio light. I guess we could make this a, oh yeah, we need to come over to select, and we're going to shrink the selection by contracting. I'm going to do about 6 pixels on that. And then with that selected, if we change to a brush, you can paint any color you want in there, you know, whatever you'd like. I think we're on, yeah, so I'm going to drag this Coolio light above, yeah, just to make sure that we're not being affected by anything else. So yeah, you can select any color you'd like. I'm going to hide the selection. This is an interesting little thing I do all the time. If you hit Control H, it hides your extras. If you go to View, these are your extras. You can see that it's checked. If I hit Control H, it's going to hide the extras. I do that so that I can not have any distractions. So now we can add anything we want in here. Oh, and I know what was going on. We have our brush set to color dodge, which is exactly what we want, because I want to make this glow. I'm going to drop this back I thought something else may be affecting it, but I just want to make sure it's still in the group. But I want to select something very saturated, very warm, and we still have our selection. Now don't forget to deselect, because a lot of times you'll be working, like if I want to paint over here, nothing's happening. Well, it's because you don't have anything selected to work in, because it's all over here. But I am going to turn our color dodge back on. You know what? That was correct, because I want to affect the layers below. Or maybe we can just make, let's see, let me see. There's multiple ways to do the same thing. I'm going to go to color dodge, set this back to normal. Let's see what we get with results. Yeah, I like the other way better. So I am going to keep this above. Sorry about that. I am going to turn this back to color dodge. And we're going to pick something saturated, like I said. And now you can really get in here. Turn this back to normal. Trying to deselect. Let's see. So we can turn this a little brighter by adding this, and you can keep building this up. I prefer to kind of use a textured brush. This is a chalk brush. It could be any kind of textured brush, but it gives a little bit of variation to it. And again, I strongly recommend all of you playing around with this, but we can make this really bright if we want. We still have our selection on. That's what's going on there. That's maybe too bright. I'm going to hit the tilde key to kind of knock this down a little bit. But for the most part, we have something that looks pretty decent. So we have 2 versions of this. Let me put this in a group. And I'm going to call this Coolio Light. Oh, or just Coolio. We'll go Coolio Light. And we'll pop out for a minute. Let's see. I'm going to pull this over. Okay. Auto select on, so I can drag this out, hopefully. Turn that off, because the pixel group cannot be... Oh, guess what I didn't do? I didn't deselect. I didn't deselect like I said to do before. I'm going to pull these out if I can get them to cooperate. I just want to show them side by side. This is kind of fun too. You can stack them. You can do all kinds of fun stuff with this. But just to have these side by side, you know, maybe we'll leave them stacked. But that's going to do it for today as far as the challenge goes. But I want to hop in here and I want to show you guys real quick. You know, I'll just pull this over. You can join our Discord to make submissions for these challenges. And let me see if I can grab our Discord. Where are you, Discord? I want to show everyone what's going on over there. Well, okay, here we go. This is our, make sure I'm in the right Discord. There we go. You can see all the challenges. Sorry about that. I had this pulled up before, but look, these are all the challenges from the maps that we had going on. There's some texture, compositing of texture and fonts. Even images are happening. It's really cool. But yeah, that's going to do it for today. Please join us over there. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, we're live every day at 11 a.m. Central Time. And you can join us at behance.net/Adobe Live. Stick around for all the great programming coming up. And hopefully we'll see you guys soon. Have a good one. Bye.